for joining me. This was a weekend that we will never forget, one in which everything changed. One of those weekends where folks here and around the world looked at everything just a little bit differently. Our plans were put on hold, our gatherings were canceled, our trips were no longer going to happen. Most families sat around the kitchen table, sharpening their pencils, checking their savings account, and wondering what lies ahead in the days ahead. I know how fast these changes have come. I've felt them alongside you as a fellow Angelino. But I hope too this weekend, amidst all of that change and all of those feelings, that you took a moment to breathe, that you had a moment to put down your phones, that you turned off your news alerts, and that you were able to spend a minute with your family or friends or even by yourself. I hope this weekend you smiled. We're going to need smiles in the days ahead, through all the tears that we will face, courage through the fear, and of course hope through all the headlines. I believe in each and every one of you, and I believe in us collectively, our ability to laugh and love even as we face these scary days. I believe in our ability to protect one another, to explain to our children, to our parents and grandparents what this moment is about and what we need to do to meet this moment in history. Like the old song says, I love LA, and I saw LA love all around this city this weekend. A video of a parade of cars driving slowly by a home in Sherman Oaks, with children singing through the sunroofs and parents from open windows singing happy birthday to a friend who was turning 40 who watched, crying in the distance. I saw colorful signs with fairies painted on them on the streets of West LA that became a street game for children probably not too excited to go on a walk with their parents that suddenly turned fun. I joined a call with the Central Hollywood Neighborhood Council that was part of a phone tree that they set up for all the seniors that live in their area. And they were teaching other neighborhood councils how to do the same thing, to check in on those seniors and see what they needed, whether it was running an errand or getting some food. And they've already talked to over 500 seniors just in their area alone. Just as we're physically distancing, we're decreasing our social separation, and we're increasing our social interactions, whether it's online dance parties, happy hours, painting lessons. The connections that have been formed are truly beautiful. Thank you. And we're learning lessons and best practices from around the country and around the world. Time is both shortened and lengthened. It seems like only a day ago this started, and certain days seem like they stretch on for weeks. But I loved something I heard from a public health expert in another city last week. She was speaking directly to folks who feel like stay-at-home measures are too extreme, like all this hype is going to wind up feeling anticlimactic, like it was all for nothing. What she said was, that's the point, and I quote, "Nothing means that nothing happened to your family." And I'll add, it means nothing happened to your neighbors, to your loved ones, to your friends, and to you. If you do nothing, you have everything. And we are all safer at home. If you stay safe at home, you have kept everyone safe. In LA, almost all of us who can stay home are staying home. You can see it in the clear skies, you can feel it breathing our air, you can see it in the empty freeways. So, good work, LA. But I have to be honest with you. It still isn't enough. This weekend we saw images of too many people crowding beaches or canyons beyond their capacity, too many people, too close together, too often. The longer we do that, the more people will get sick and the more people will die. There's no way to sugarcoat it. That is why today, in consultation with the County Department of Public Health, we went further, closing group sports and recreation at our parks, including our public golf courses. And I'm concerned about the crowds at our famous boardwalk in Venice Beach. So starting tomorrow, we'll close the parking lots there near the beach to keep the crowds away in conjunction with the city of Santa Monica, which has closed their parking lots near the beach. And together with Mayor Robert Garcia in Long Beach, mayors of beach communities, and LA County Health, I hope we can assess how we can make sure that people aren't congregating at our beaches and, if necessary, close them altogether. It doesn't mean that it's time to find another place to get together. This is serious. 6 feet matters. There are no exceptions to that rule unless you are a first responder or a critical worker. None. Your decision to not physically distance yourself may kill someone. This isn't just about you. It's about all of us, everyone. Don't take risks. Don't mess around. Don't be selfish. And help educate everybody around you. 6 feet isn't tough. And if you want to be extra safe, you can pull a LeBron and make it 6'8", or for the Clippers fans, a Kawhi at 6'7". Seriously, though, the difficult changes that we are making here today, they are going to do more than just protect us. They are there to stop the deaths of loved ones. So I hope all of you will continue to be safer at home. And when you're not at home, you will be safe around each other by maintaining that physical distance. Next, let me update you a little bit on testing. I know testing is on everyone's mind here in Los Angeles and LA County and around the country and world. It's a key step in being able to identify and track this virus, who needs treatment, map out the next phase of this crisis, prepare the resources we need to meet it medically. And I want you to know we are doing everything that we can, working with the county, the state, the federal government to bring as many testing kits and to be able to process as many testing kits as possible for Angelenos. We're working with our healthcare partners in the private sector who are expanding available tests, and we hope to have details soon on how you can access more tests and self-report your results. But right now, I want to share that we are moving quickly to launch a portal for people at the highest risk so that they can find information and help. Let me explain what this is. In the next few days, we will roll this out. And I'm sharing this information at the very beginning of this, with the caveat that in the first day or two, we'll have to make adjustments. It won't be perfect, but I told my people I'd rather get things out there quickly and figure out how to make them better than to wait and cost lives. The initial rollout of this limited number of tests that we will help to conduct is for the most vulnerable Angelenos, those with symptoms, those who are 65 and older, who have underlying health conditions, or both. And we are prioritizing these individuals because they are at the greatest risk of dying if they contract COVID-19. When they check onto our website, this portal, we'll direct people who meet these criteria to a testing center. And anyone getting a test will need to present their ID. I want nobody to have fear. It doesn't matter your immigration status, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter if you're a visitor. We just need that ID to confirm that, of course, you're the person who's gone through the portal for the test. And we ask for everybody's patience as we ramp this up. Once we do, I hope to expand this capacity every single day as much as we can to provide more Angelenos who need it the tests that they have to have. And we're grateful to the Los Angeles Fire Department for their support in helping us increase testing in the days and weeks ahead. And Dr. Eckstein is here with me, standing at a safe distance off camera, but he will be there to answer any questions you may have. I know masks are on people's minds as well, and we've ordered masks from at least 6 different vendors. And together with LA County, which has been successful in procuring masks as well, we anticipate we'll be able to keep up with the surge in demand for our medical personnel and our first responders. As we've heard from other cities and the federal government, setting up new testing infrastructure, though, will come with speed bumps. And we think it's important to start testing immediately. Better to do that than to wait for a perfect system. The time to act is now. So to learn more about the process for testing that will begin tomorrow, you can go to coronavirus.lacity.org. As mentioned, Dr. Mark Eckstein from our fire department, who's spearheading these efforts, will be available to answer questions at the end of this briefing. And remember, the county line 211 is up and running for non-emergency questions on coronavirus, and of course 911 remains reserved for true emergency situations. Next, I want to be sure that everyone in Los Angeles is aware of the changes that are happening at the state and federal levels that will directly impact our lives and make things a little bit easier, we hope, in the days and weeks ahead. Today was a day of great news. Just a few hours ago, the President announced that the United States naval ship Mercy, a hospital ship, will deploy to the port of Los Angeles. With 1,000 beds that will help us respond to this crisis, the Mercy will become the largest hospital in Los Angeles when it docks at our port. This will save lives. This was a team effort, and I want to thank everybody, the President, the Vice President, their team at the White House, our Governor, our Board of Supervisors, and everybody on our team who asked the government to step up and to bring us this ship, and who are part of the success in advocating for this and playing a critical role in efforts to bring that to Los Angeles. All of our work is focused right now on what you need from your government. I don't care if that's federal, state, county, city, school district. We are all together in this to help you. So as our leaders in Sacramento and Washington debate stimulus packages, we're reaching out to those representatives to secure every dollar we can in direct aid to our cities and local governments. We're fighting for investments to serve our homeless populations, to strengthen our workforce and those workers who are hardest hit, including those who may be undocumented, and to support economic drivers like the port and airport and the transit system as well. We're doing all we can to ensure that our economy doesn't grind to a halt during these days by continuing to issue approvals on new development even while our city employees work from home. We want to make sure those permits keep moving, that the jobs can roar back, and that the processes continue of government. And we're seeing the state and federal government acting to give you and your household some added help while we wait for the next wave of news on economic relief. I want to thank Governor Newsom again, because the state has waived the 1-week waiting period for unemployment insurance for anyone unemployed or disabled as a result of COVID-19. This is critical for the survival of people living paycheck to paycheck. So if you need those benefits, you can apply for them immediately. As we've done locally with the Department of Water and Power, the California Public Utilities Commission ordered that energy, water, sewer, and communications companies under its jurisdiction have to halt customer disconnections due to non-payment. Thank you. And I know for so many folks who don't live in the city of LA, this now covers you in every part of LA County. For those of you looking at the calendar and maybe a little stressed because you see tax day just around the corner, know that both the state and federal filing deadlines have been moved from April 15th to July 15th, allowing us all to breathe a little easier. For households who've gotten census forms in the mail, you should still respond online or by calling by April 1st. And again, I want to encourage you to take a few minutes to do that. The stats I heard was about 18 or 19% of LA County had already filled out its census forms. In the city of LA, I heard it was only 14%, so step up in the city of LA. But it's easy. I did it with my daughter at home. It makes you feel counted, and it makes sure that we are counted in the days and years and the recovery ahead. Think about it as an investment in the recovery after COVID-19. Know that the Census Bureau, though, is also helping by delaying its final deadline for responses by 2 weeks. So instead of all of the data being collected by July, it will now be mid-August. For students, good news that the Department of Education has waived all interest on federally backed loans for 2 months. And for seniors, Medicare patients can use telehealth for free to meet with doctors on the phone. For our immigrant neighbors, remember that ICE will not carry out enforcement actions at or near healthcare facilities during this crisis. So if you have symptoms and your doctor says that you need to go to a hospital or a clinic, you can do so without any fear. And for renters, the Department of Housing and Urban Development announced they will suspend all foreclosures and evictions through the end of April. And here in LA, I issued an order prohibiting landlords from evicting residential tenants during this local emergency period if the tenant is unable to pay rent because of the COVID-19 pandemic. As I reminded folks on Friday, we still have to pay the rent. If you can pay the rent, do it. But nobody will be evicted if you can't. We need to make sure as well that those folks who are mom and pops, and the difference between a rent payment or not may be the difference of being foreclosed, that wherever tenants can pay, please continue to. And we're making dash buses free so that all of our critical workers in the city of LA can get to where they need to go. All of these steps are to ease the anxiety of this moment, a little bit or a lot in some cases. And we're going to keep updating you on everything that's happening at the federal, state, county, and city level. And for more information on what we're doing in Los Angeles to help, as well as frequently asked questions on the Safer at Home order, again, I encourage you to visit the website at coronavirus.lacity.org/FAQ. Finally, I'd like to let you know how city employees are doing heroic work serving the people of the city of Los Angeles during this health crisis. And I want to speak to my city family, my fellow workforce at this time as well. Last week, I activated the Disaster Service Worker Program, allowing us to redeploy our city family to meet the needs of this moment. I know Angelenos expect the city to be there for them, now more than ever. It's why we signed up for public service. It's who we are, and it's what we are about. I love you for that, and I need you now. We're going to make sure that the water keeps flowing, that the power is on, that our buses keep flowing on, keep hitting on time, and it means that public servants continue to serve. Whether that's helping our homeless neighbors who are starting to spend the night in our rec centers, or delivering meals to older residents as we see that demand growing rapidly, or lending a hand to Angelenos who are the most vulnerable to this virus. I expect city employees to step up, and I'm grateful for those who have already put themselves forward in their departments to do just that. It isn't just important work, it's life-saving work. And if we don't slow this down, no matter where you live, no matter where you are, this crisis will come to all of us. We can be the ones who save the day. As we begin another work week in the midst of this public health crisis, I'm encouraged by all that companies in our area are doing too, and going above and beyond to keep their employees safe, healthy, and financially stable. Like Starbucks, which is keeping open the stores and drive-thrus that are located closest to first responders and hospitals, and paying all employees for 30 days with benefits. Or Whole Foods Market, which will close stores up to 2 hours early to give employees more time to restock the shelves, do a deep clean, and get much-needed rest while boosting their workers' hourly wages. Every employer in Los Angeles needs to make decisions that put employees first and that keep people safe whenever, wherever possible. While our city will continue to take necessary public health steps guided by the county, we still need your help. We need everyone to step up to the plate, because this is a make or break week for the crisis. So let me tell you a few ways you can help on this Sunday evening. First, you can sign up to volunteer with a local organization that's helping our most vulnerable get every bit of help they need, or through the city's volunteer portal. If you go to lacity.org and sign up for the Mayor's Volunteer Corps, we don't know yet where we're going to need your help, but already hundreds of people have signed up. So think about a local organization you can help from home. Maybe it's that phone tree to seniors in your neighborhood, or sign up so that we can put you to work safely at the right time. Second, many of you have contacts, businesses, or suggestions to get critically needed materials. So many people have called and emailed us with a line on an apparel company that might be able to make masks, or an equipment company that might make ventilators. We thank you for that. And we are so lucky to live in this center not only of trade and commerce, but of manufacturing in Los Angeles. So please email those leads to mayor.helpdesk@lacity.org. That's mayor.helpdesk@lacity.org. A third way you can help, keep checking on your neighbors. At a safe distance, see how they're doing, especially with our seniors. Call mom, reach out to each other, make that connection. And fourth, Give what you can. We know for many of you, you can't give it all. You don't even know if you're going to make it through this crisis. And that's exactly why we're asking everybody else to help give. You can go to coronavirus.lacity.org, sound like a broken record, but it's your one-stop shop, and donate to our Emergency Crisis Response Fund. And for some of you, stand by for my call. For those of you that have the means, that have been the incredible pillars of our city, giving to build our cultural institutions, who have helped us do things like making community college free or expand our youth services, I need you. Your city needs you. And I'm going to be calling you to help us raise the money that we need now to not only make sure that LA survives, but that all Angelenos survive this crisis too. We have set a goal of $25 million in the coming days that we want to raise through private individuals, foundations, and companies to support childcare for our healthcare workers so that they can be there at work and save lives. Second, grants for families and individuals who need financial assistance right now. The difference between making it through another week and not is right there on the line for too many people, and we are going to help those folks through our city's network. Third, meals for seniors. We're already seeing a huge demand for this, and we're ramping up a system with the county to make that happen. But all three are top priorities. There may be other ones in the days ahead, but I hope that you will go right there to coronavirus.lacity.org and help out. And finally, how can you help? I'm going to end where I started. Continue practicing physical distancing. Stay 6 feet apart. That's our best defense against this virus. That's how we slow the spread of COVID-19. So throughout this coming week, I will continue to come to you with new information on what we're doing to address the medical, economic, and community health needs of Los Angeles, and I hope that you will tune in. We are a resilient city. We will get through this together. Los Angeles, this is our make or break week. I know how you must feel tonight. I certainly feel it. It's Sunday night. We often gather for a family dinner, maybe check our kids' homework, maybe check in with each other, get ready for work. It'll be a different week. For most of you, you're not physically going to work. Kids are learning from home. And if I can indulge you all for a second, I just want to say hi to my daughter, Maya. Tell her how much I love her while Daddy's busy working here at City Hall. But for each one of us, we know that this coming week, things have changed. But there's so much that's still the same. Who we are, who we love, what we're capable of, and what we will do. And I know this will be a great week for Los Angeles in the midst of a crisis unlike any we've faced before. So stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. Strength, Los Angeles. With that, I'll take some questions next, and then I'll say some remarks in Spanish as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a first question from Steve Gregory from KFI and Catherine Picasso of NBC4. It's a similar question. I've seen many people who don't appear to be taking your order very seriously. People playing basketball on outdoor courts, people hanging out in parks and beaches. There's even a bus running tours of Hollywood. At what point, Mr. Mayor, do you hold these people accountable for potentially spreading the virus?
Absolutely. As I said earlier, there are moves we took today to stop group sports, to obviously close our playgrounds, and I hope that together, working with other cities that have beach areas, we can do everything we can to close down those beaches that are a threat and to make sure that we are adhering to physical distancing in those open spaces that we still have. This is not a time, and I'll say this again to young people. I was in Griffith Park this morning getting a little badly needed exercise, and everybody was spaced out. But I saw a group of young Angelenos, 5 or 6 of them, kind of right next to each other, and a little bit of horseplay, and went up to them and explained to them that they needed to be 6 feet apart from each other, that this was the difference between life and death, maybe for one of them or for somebody that they loved. So our first strategy has always been adherence, and we've had a lot of calls from people who have given us great tips. Where necessary, we've taken city employees out to let that restaurant know, you cannot serve food in your restaurant. And as part of our disaster service worker program, as other cities have done, we're going to continue to help people comply. Where we don't see compliance, we will use whatever means at our disposal to let people know this is in violation of the order. It is a misdemeanor. It is something that we can enforce. The good news is, through all sorts of data points, we've seen huge compliance with this. But as the question asks, a few people can be killers. One person might get sick from another. It's not just two people. That can quickly spread to hundreds and thousands of people. So this coming week, we will look at that, and we will not be shy about letting people know. That is directives that we've put out also for our police department to go up and to inform people where they see that, and for others to make sure that we have compliance. So the biggest weapon we have, though, with all of us, we might have at our peak a few thousand police officers out, but we've got 4 million people. It has to be you. So if it's your children, if it's your friend, if it's your parents, yeah, I'm giving sons and daughters permission to tell their parents to split up, apart, to get away from each other. Tell them. Be those folks that make the difference, and make sure that we save lives. Thank you. Next question.
Jill Cowan from the New York Times asks, can you talk in as much detail as possible about how the cities, counties, and state orders overlap and how they are different? And if they're different, how will that affect enforcement? Will the city or the county be moving to close or limit access to any trails or particularly popular outdoor areas? How will that work?
So they're in compliance with each other, and they complement each other. So the city and county are identical in every aspect. I think there's one which is about cannabis, whether it's just medical cannabis, I think at the county level, and the city level, it's any cannabis. Besides that, they are identical in terms of what's restricted and what's not. And the state order is complementary of both the city and county. And we've had a lot of lawyers, some corrections that were made to make sure that they were together at both levels. So it's not a matter of contradiction between them. You can read the LA City order if you live in the city of Los Angeles, abide by it, and you're covering yourself in terms of the state and the county orders as well. Next question, thank you.
The next question is from Dakota Smith of the LA Times. A major problem for lower income households is a lack of access to the internet. Is there anything the city is doing or can do to get emergency internet services in place? And secondly, in 2014, you launched CityLink LA program, your initiative with Bob Blumenfield to get cheap and free internet access across the city. But the city rejected all the proposals from companies that submitted the bids. What happened there?
I don't want to speak for Councilmember Blumenfield, but we know that people have connectivity now, not just through broadband and a computer. Most people do it through their phone. And in fact, in lower-income communities, we have even greater smartphone penetration than in higher-income ones. So we know everybody can get on the internet one way or another through their phones or through their devices. For those who don't, there's free phone programs, and again, you can call either the city or the county through our 311s and find out how to get one of those phones. And right now, through the telecom companies, nobody will lose their service because you cannot pay the bill. Though again, I remind people, you're responsible to pay for your bill and liable for them. So we also saw all around the ability for folks to be able to get cheap, easy, and free access as long as you have that phone. And because phones are free, that was the best way to do them. So everything we're doing is with that in mind so that it's mobile ready. We know that for kids, a phone isn't the best way to learn, so I know the school district is looking at how they can get more laptops out to people for distance learning, but that's why right now we kind of evolved from what we used to think about needing to get something to plug in, have your own computer in every single home.
The next question is from Veronica Miracle of KABC. Mayor Garcetti, we've seen the Italian government take drastic measures in recent days, stopping people from leaving their homes to even take a walk. In New York, the governor announced all non-essential businesses must close in-office work and all gatherings are banned, starting tonight. Will this happen in Los Angeles? If no, why not?
It has in terms of the New York piece. In Italy, we haven't had people, with military deployed out there. We have, as I said, I think on Friday, it might have been, no, I didn't speak yesterday, so Friday or Thursday, we deployed the stay-at-home measures that Italy did about 6 to 13 days, depending on how you count it, earlier than we saw in northern Italy and throughout the country. So that is a hopeful thing. I don't want to extrapolate statistics at all too much because the numbers are low, but here in LA County, where more and more testing we hope is coming online, so numbers should be going up more and more. The last 2 or 3 days, while the number of increase has been roughly the same, it's not an exponential increase. So The reason that we did these drastic measures where no non-essential workers can be at work, where public gatherings do not happen, and where we make sure that people know that, have already seen a huge slowdown. Where we need to go further, as directed by the county and public health officials, I will not hesitate 1 second to exercise that if they say we need to do more and go further. But that's what my message is really about tonight. Make sure that we are doing everything we can. I believe in 4 million and 10 million people and 19 million people in this region, county, and city. And where they aren't, we absolutely will bring government to bear. This is a crisis about saving lives, not just about doing whatever you want.
The next question is from David Zanizer of the Los Angeles Times. Last week, you said you plan to move 6,000 people off the street and into dormant recreation centers. Is that still your goal? If it's changed, what's your new target? Also, how many people moved into the city's 13 recreation centers over the weekend? Are homeless residents agreeing to move into these facilities, or are they staying away?
Thank you, Dave, for all 5 questions. I'll try to remember all of them. Our goal is still the same, to open up 42 recreation centers. After a second consultation with County Public Health, they required us to have even more spacing than the initial plans, so the capacity of each of those went down. I don't have an exact number, but we do see people moving in. We anticipated that would be a series of days and weeks to get up to the thousands that we hope to have, but I hope this week to get back to you with an exact number. The goal was that 6,000. Our goal this weekend was to have about 1,600 beds available, but because of the smaller size, it isn't that number. That said, we have beds that are available. I just was off the phone a couple minutes ago. The Westwood Rec Center is now filled. Cheviot Hills is filling up. So the initial 8 are getting close to being able to be filled, and we will open in coming days the next ones. We also need to make sure that there is staffing at them, and there's a real shortage of medical workers, as we can all appreciate, but we need to make sure they're there to monitor the symptom-free people to make sure that they're not developing any symptoms. So that is something that we're working with temporary staffing agencies, and to the city employees, as I mentioned before, this is absolutely critical that we get the city employees we need to staff each one of these and to have the proper folks that are there. But I feel confident that we will continue to have more and more people come into them. Already I know it's in the hundreds, but I don't have an exact number because it's very fluid and people are literally moving in even as we speak. But I'll get back to you on the rest, David. Thank you.
The next question comes from Mady Encinas of Univision. Will there be fines for people who do not follow the stay-at-home orders or for non-essential businesses that open their doors? Also, what message do you have to the Latino community that is being affected financially by the crisis, and what type of assistance could they expect?
Absolutely. We are prepared to fine people, and it is a misdemeanor. That is absolutely on the table, and each day I try to make sure we go a little bit further. It's not us getting from 0 to 100. We might be at 90 or 95. Whatever it takes, it's in our hands to get to 100, and we will not be shy about using government. But we don't want to lead with fines. We don't want to, in a very difficult moment, make it even more difficult for folks. But we will have law enforcement officers, city employees, and others letting people know that they are in violation, whether it's in a park or whether it's on a street or whether it's on a hike, in violation of the order. For Latino residents here, and for many, it's not just Latinos who are here, who are in mixed families, where some people may be citizens, some people may be legal residents, and others may be undocumented immigrants. We are making sure all of our programs treat human lives equally. We can't say that people perished because of prejudice. And so when we look at that, we're also seeing where can we fill holes to make sure that if the federal government, for instance, won't give people certain benefits. We've worked together with the state, people like Manuel Pastor, professor at USC, who's an advisor to the governor, aligning the programs to make sure that they are there for everybody. Many immigrants who are not citizens qualify for many of the state aid programs, so we're pushing that out in everything we do in both English and Spanish. We're reminding people no ICE actions are happening at our hospitals or medical areas. That is something that is off limits, so that they can feel secure taking a family member there or going there themselves if somebody's exhibiting difficult and extreme symptoms or they're especially vulnerable with pre-existing conditions. So we are making sure that we have everything on the website. You can read it in Spanish. We're working as fast as we can to translate it ourselves, but through automatic translation it is all available. And whenever I have the opportunity, I'm speaking in Spanish. And brevemente, no es nuestra meta tener un sistema donde nosotros tenemos los oficiales de policía con el enforcamiento de estas leyes, es en las manos de la gente. Pero estamos preparados a usar los oficiales y otros trabajadores de la ciudad de Los Ángeles, del gobierno, por estas acciones. Pero tengan confianza, porque todos nosotros programas están no solamente por los ciudadanos, pero todos los residentes, sin documentos, con documentos, y las facilidades de salud, ICE no está en estas facilidades como hospitales y clínicas, y protegeremos todos nuestros residentes, incluyendo los inmigrantes. Gracias. Next question.
The next question is from Rick Schroeder of KNX. When do
Hey,
you
Rick.
expect the USNS Mercy to arrive in Los Angeles? Of the thousands of other field hospital beds, how many would be designated for LA?
I don't have the answer for the field hospital beds, though I know in the LA area, for instance, my good friend, the mayor of Riverside, Rusty Bailey, told me that they're getting some there. We expect the ship to come relatively quickly. It is usually, home port is San Diego. I don't know if it's there right now, but I think it is. So we could have that coming within a day or two. But we will check. We'll be able to report back. We just got that information from the White House, the announcement. We're trying to figure out those details. But we have been working for a couple weeks. And I want to thank all the folks at the Port of Los Angeles, Gene Sirocco, who's our executive director, and his staff that have been working to make sure the space was there, that we can make sure that emergency services can get in and out of there, so that people who are transported can have now, as I said, the biggest hospital in LA is about to land right at the Port of LA. And we'll work very closely with our neighbors there, Long Beach and others, to make sure that that is available to everybody no matter where they live. And I should have said that also about the testing. The testing right now in the portal that I mentioned is screens initially just because there aren't enough tests for the zip codes of LA City. But I hope later in this week to share that not just with LA City. Lives are lives are lives. And as we expand test capacity, I'll be working with LA County, Catherine Barger, neighboring cities to expand that capacity in more locations, we hope, and to more people.
The next and last question is a follow-up question from Dakota Smith of the LA Times. She originally asked about lower-income households' right to access the internet. And she asks now, I was asking about laptops used by students and kids who can no longer access internet at libraries, for instance.
Right.
What could be done to help those people?
So I know that Spectrum and some other folks have talked about programs to get that there. Obviously, that can't be built out overnight, but we've been in contact with them, so we'd be happy to follow up. We have urged those companies to do whatever they can to expand that access. Some companies are doing great things and keeping on their internet access even as they close, for instance, the neighborhood coffee shops, so somebody can go around the corner and download the homework that they need or some of the stuff that's most important. So we're absolutely in those conversations. What can be done is the companies can help us. We've certainly asked for them, but a build-out may be difficult in certain places, but increasing access would be something great, especially Wi-Fi hotspots for folks through the cable companies that have those hotspots now on every single modem. So we've been in those sorts of conversations. Okay. So thank you all. I'm going to say a longer set of words in Spanish. To everybody who's tuning out, I just want to thank you. Do your work tomorrow. It is your job to make sure, as we do our job, to make sure people are distancing themselves, and thank you for what I know will be a difficult week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow night.